Camp Barnabas is a place where the Lord is at work, allowing people to be who He made them to be.
Camp Barnabas is a place that you can walk into feeling loved. You have overflowing joy, not only from the campers, but from the staffers that are here to help you.
No matter if you have a disability or not, it's the love of the Lord that's poured into everyone, the way I picture heaven to be.
Our kids have described Camp Barnabas, in using their words, as heaven on earth. That it is really a place in this world where people aren't judged and where people are accepted and encouraged right where they are.
When I think of Camp Barnabas, I think it's a place where our children, your children, will be loved and accepted regardless of what they bring to the table.
You can't really describe them unless you are part of it. I try really hard, but it's difficult. I remember seeing IP, and I think Paul Teves was speaking. And I just remember, as he was speaking, looking around, and all these people were in chairs, walkers, everyone had a disability, and no one cared. We were all just sitting there, worshiping Jesus together. Carly and my government, and I'm from Annapolis, Maryland.
How many years have you been coming to Camp Barnabas?
9. And when I first started, I was really nervous because I'd never been really around people with special needs at all. I knew who some of them were, but I knew what it meant to have special needs, but I have it too, but I never really had this opportunity to interact with them because I was in school. I wasn't in any special program or anything. Not only do you have fun doing all the activities, but you also build great relationships. My mom often says, what the heck did you talk about or do before you came to Barnabas? That's your whole life now. And not only has it impacted me here, but it's allowed me to get involved in stuff back home too. It's something that changed my life forever. Camp Barnabas has become family and acceptance and love, and I can't imagine my life without Barnabas in it. Shannon's from here. I'm from Lee's Summit, Missouri, and I've been serving at Camp Barnabas since 2007. I was born with cerebral palsy and I have a limp, and I live on my own and do my own things, but when I went to camp, and the limp became normal. And in the real world, people look down at the limp, but they don't always look back up. And at camp, everyone looks back up and smiles. And that changed me. There's an acceptance at Barnabas that I don't see anywhere else. It doesn't matter if you have a limp or a wheelchair or whatever, you're a person first. Each week I go and I think it'll be just like the last time, and the Lord doesn't work like that. Every week is a new experience and a new interaction with not only the people but the Lord. I think a lot about these parents that have children with challenges that aren't easy. I've heard over and over again that these parents, that's the only break they get. Investing in Barnabas doesn't just mean you're investing in the campers, you're investing in families.
If you have kids that have special needs and you're still married, that's a huge thing. Getting this time away, this respite, and being able to invest in our marriage has been huge. Not only do we just enjoy that week, but we enjoy our kids better after, because we are coming from a place of better health.
We are Todd and Becky Corsick. We're from Edwardsville, Illinois, and we have 4 children, all of which who have been part of Camp Barnabas for the past 7 years. Our oldest son, Micah, and his sister and brother started coming 7 years ago, and then we adopted a little boy, Conan, who's now been part of Camp Barnabas for 2 years. The effect I've seen it have on our kids too is phenomenal. It's something that has carried on throughout the year, not just the week, or now it's 2 or 3 weeks of summer that they're here. Barnabas is something that is talked about, I'd go almost as far as say daily at our house, because it just has become the highlight of the summer for them.
Our youngest son is a ball of energy most of the time. He has had a traumatic brain injury and suffers lots of repercussions from that. He really just had an amazing time, and he felt wanted and really welcome.
Which is actually one of his greatest challenges is a fear of abandonment. So here he's in an environment where these missionaries and staffers, they're loving on him, and they're helping and allowing Conan to be Conan, but in the midst of all that, they're pointing them to Jesus. For a kid who has short-term memory issues, who can't remember stuff, for him still a few months later to be quoting the memory verse that he learned that week at camp is nothing short of a miracle, in all honesty.
Micah has cerebral palsy, and it affects every muscle group in his body. It, thankfully, to the Lord, that it has not affected his cognitive abilities, but it does impair his speech somewhat, although we can understand him, and if you were to slow down long enough, you'd be able to understand him too. But most of the time, even in the hallways at school, it's not common for people to stop and listen and wait for an answer. And here, that's the norm.
And I think the relationships between the missionaries and the campers is so unbelievably valuable. I don't think there's been one year where at the end of the week that missionary and our sons have connected in a very, very special way, because they loved on and cared enough about our campers, about our kids, that they just invested in their lives for that entire week.
Camp Barnabas is different than other camps and mission trips because this is a place where not only do you pour out to the campers, but the campers pour back into you.
My name is Josie Stevens. I'm 18 years old. I am from Springfield, Missouri, and I've been going to camp since the summer of 2015.
One of the cool experiences that really just solidified my love for this camp was when we were doing devotions. My camper was incredible. I had my Bible out on my lap, and she just leans over and rests her head on my shoulder, and we read the Bible together, and she was reading out words to me, and just knowing how she was getting to experience the Lord at this camp as well as I was. My personal relationship with the Lord was strengthened this entire week. My life has completely transformed after Camp Barnabas. So many doors have opened for me personally too. I got the opportunity to tutor a girl with Down syndrome, and she's now become one of my best buddies, as well as I serve at my church in the special needs room, and I know that door has opened now, and those experiences have been evident to me because my time at Camp Barnabas. It's something that once you experience camp with your camper and even other campers around, it's something that you can't walk away from.
The whole campground is just saturated with memories for us, and here we are in a totally new season, and knowing that she's one of our Barna babies and she is going to be blessed to be a part of camp from pretty much birth.
My name's Gabe. I started working there when I was a junior in high school.
And I'm Bethany, and I first started working at Barnabas in 1998.
Talking to old staffers, and all of them down to a person will say that was such an important time in my life. And for me, it still to this day obviously continues to be just very much a central part of my story. And the times that at camp, I remember us having conversations. I wonder if Camp Barnabas, is an experience that we're here to have to prepare us for having a disabled child. I remember having that conversation 20 years ago. And then for her to be born, that's exactly what it was.
Miss Anna, she was born this last year on New Year's Eve, and she was unexpectedly had Down syndrome. I think Barnabas was in conversations within the first couple days of her being born. And the next thing I knew, a couple months later, I was one of the medical directors.
Paul and Cindy were given by God an incredible vision that it can't just stop now. To spread that experience to every kid possible after having been involved with Barnabas for so many years now, it's an absolute necessity.
We have a huge ratio of campers, of staff, of volunteers that give their lives to Christ, which is an eternal consequence of being at camp. There's not any amount of money that is worth one kid coming to Christ because of this.
Even now, there not being a whole lot of direct links back to the original days, it's remarkable how similar the heart is, the campers, the counselors, the staff, the volunteers. That part of it hasn't changed at all. You still see at dance parties, volunteers and staff dripping in sweat. What I remember most was just the effect that camp had on the staff.
Being a Camp Barnabas staffer was phenomenal. You're able to build relationships with all of the campers and really focus your week to pour into the missionaries and get to love on them and encourage them as they pour directly back into those campers. Matthew Benjamin. I am from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I go to school in Denver, Colorado at Colorado Christian University, and I have been involved with Barnabas for almost 8 years. When a camper is fully reliant on you, you can't hold up both yourself and the camper. You have to rely on the Lord. Those uncomfortable situations and those difficult situations are the times that I have grown closest to the Lord.
So while, yes, it's about impacting children with disabilities and their siblings and their families, I see it as so much more than that. Camp Barnabas is developing the future leaders of the church, and the future leaders that are going to impact this world for Jesus as they're impacting this world for Jesus right now. What God has done through Barnabas and the financial investment of that is, as I said, almost inconsequential to us at this point, mainly because we see the incredible impact it's had on them that has carried over, again, not just for a week, but carried over into their entire lives.
If we are able to invest in this, our time, money, our hearts, our prayers, you can see this camp just grow, and that's where we're called as Christians to serve the kingdom of the Lord, and this is a place that the Lord has his hand upon.
As a cabin mom this year and meeting the campers in my cabin, they had been helped through the camper scholarship program to be able to come, and they were brought to tears so many times over the week because they had never experienced the unconditional love of Jesus anywhere.
My friend Emily, who has Down syndrome, she gets to come to camp this summer. She finally turned the age of 7, and she is so excited. She's been counting down the days even. She's seen pictures of my experiences and heard me talk about it, and I think it's important that every camper gets to experience camp and get to look forward to this as much as Emily is.
Everyone I meet, no matter if they're from here or back home, I always say, we have to go to Barnabas. For you to understand me, you have to go to where my heart is.
It's a place for everybody because everybody comes broken in some way, shape, or form, whether it be spiritual or mental or physical. And God's there, and He'll meet you where you're at.
There's something really special that God is doing on this piece of property in Southwest Missouri. And we are just so thrilled that it's infiltrated our family and it's changed us forever.